Hi guys, my name is Chef Mandri from the Chef's Manifesto, and today we're gonna make something delicious using sorghum. So as you can see, sorghum is basically one of the neglected ingredients, but yet very nutritious, enriched with vitamin B, and it's basically just amazing. It is available in the country or all over, like I would say all over the world, and it is just delicious. I'm gonna make a delicious recipe using the sorghum. So first things first, what you want to do when you have sorghum is it's a dry ingredient. So what you want to do, you want to fill it into a pot or pour it into a pot and then add some water and then boil it. So if you have a normal pot, it's all good, but if you have a pressure cooker like this one, it's just fantastic. You want to boil it for at least 45 minutes until you get something like that. So let me tell you, when this is basically what you have, you are sorted. All you want to do is basically just toss it up and make something delicious. So you can actually fry a little bit some onions and make it a hot kind of meal, but then today we're just going to make a nice cold salad using this sorghum. And what am I going to use for the salad is basically sorghum that I cooked into a pressure cooker for at least an hour, and it's nice and soft. But then how do you make it fun? So this is basically like a quarter kg of sorghum that is boiled. The beauty of sorghum is that it puffs up really well and it becomes like, you know, quite a big quantity. It's just 250 grams, but then once boiled, it absorbs all the water and just becomes nice, and look at that, amazing. So what do we want to do? We just want to flavor it a little bit. So definitely go in with some salt, and then you're gonna go in with a little bit of some black pepper, and then you're gonna go in with a little bit of some onion powder, because I'm not gonna use any fresh onions. And then we're gonna go in with the juice of almost half a lemon into the mix to get that lovely tangy kind of feel into the mix. And then I'm gonna go in with olive oil, a big olive oil, and then give it a toss. Just gonna mix everything together so that the flavors are gonna become nice and intact. So this is a very simple salad that you can make at home. To make it a little bit fun, let's go in with some diced tomatoes. You can use sun-dried tomatoes just to get that extra punch. You can basically use just this the way it is. You can add in some carrots into the mix, grated carrots, and then you will be sold. This is basically just for the color, and look at that, look at that. You know what? Let's start making our delicious salad or plate it. Okay, this already tastes really good. Now, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna pour it into my casserole. You can use a tray, a casserole, or wherever you like. And so this is basically the veggie option. Looks good. Fantastic. Take this away. I'm gonna take my lettuce. This is iceberg lettuce. You can get this from any of your favorite market. So just put it on the side. On the side as well. It's just a lovely crunchy kind of salad that you wanna make on a lazy weekend, and voila, look at that, that looks amazing. Just something delicious that you're gonna make on a lazy weekend. Look at that, we already have sorghum with a little bit of some tomatoes and lettuce. But to make it fun, a little bit fun, you're gonna go in with a little bit of some chicken into the mix. So this is basically just pan-seared chicken. I'm just gonna cut it into some strips. You can use any of your favorite protein. I opted to use chicken because chicken is my favorite. And again, it's basically white meat is the healthiest option. So I'm just going to take that, lift this up with my knife, come over it here, and then just kind of arrange it over that sorghum. So you still want to see the sorghum cuts, the sorghum into the mix. Add a little bit of some tomatoes on the side. Goodness. And and then go in with some extra juice of lemon or lime into the mix, and voila, your sorghum salad is ready. Goodness, look at that. How easy was it to make this? Fantastic. Get your sorghum, bring it to a boil in a pressure cooker for less than an hour, and your sorghum is going to be fantastic. Stick it into the fridge for at least 2 days. It's all good, and then enjoy it. Make a salad. You can add any protein that you like, but the idea is basically to make use of the sorghum that we have, because it's basically a very amazing ingredient that doesn't need a lot of water and is sustainable. Thank you for joining me on this lovely video, and this is definitely courtesy of Chef's Manifesto. Thank you.
So today for the Agrobiodiversity Congress, I have chosen to make ragi parathas. I will use ragi flour, and for the stuffing I will be using gehet ki dal, which is one of the most high protein dals that are available in India. So we'll take 1 cup of ragi flour, 1 cup of whole wheat flour. This I will add some salt, which are carom seeds. These are very good for digestion, and especially since the winters are coming, ragi is a warm grain, and ajwain helps in the digestion of any warm foods. So this dish will be perfect for winters. We have to slowly add water because these grains start absorbing water at their own speed. So if we add a lot of water at once, the dough might not come out perfect. Ragi has been part of our tradition, of our culture, of our food plate in India since a very, very long time. And we've recently only gotten out of touch from these amazing ingredients. Not just ragi, but any different type of millet. Growing these are absolutely amazing for the soil because they do not consume a lot of water, and they actually give back to the soil rather than taking a lot of nutrition from the soil. And a lot of my farmer friends and other farmers agree that they would want to grow millets on their ground, on their fields, because that will keep their fields, their soil nourished for years and years. They just need the demand of these ingredients to grow so that they can actually sell it. So as chefs and as part of Chef's Manifesto, which has more than 1,000 chefs from across 60 countries as part of the manifesto, as part of the team, it's our duty to promote such ingredients. For our filling, I have some boiled gehet ki dal. This has been soaked overnight and boiled, just with a little bit of salt. This is extremely nutritious. We find it in Uttarakhand, that is the hilly region, the foothills of Himalayas, and they're also very good in fiber, very rich in fiber, very rich in protein, and extremely good for your gut health. To this, I will mix last night's leftover vegetables that we made in our house. Vegetables. Lentils. So here we have our filling, which is nicely dried and crushed together. This is the consistency that we are looking for. The lentils are partly broken. The leftover vegetables from last night are mashed. Now we will divide our dough into little rounds, and we will put our stuffing in them. So you can just use your hands to stretch the dough out. Place it in your palm like this and put some stuffing in it. Apply some ghee. Get some really nice homemade ghee here. So here we have our stuffed ragi parathas. I will serve this with fresh homemade butter. Just look at it melt. It's absolutely delicious. And this is how we eat parathas in our house. We just crush them with our hands, with everything spilling out and all the butter going inside. And we take a big bite, dip it in butter, and eat it.
Hello, my name is Pierre Kiam. I'm a chef, cookbook author, and social entrepreneur. I'm the co-founder of Yolele Foods, an African food company, and of Teranga Restaurant in New York City. Today we are making a fonio and mango salad. Fonio is an ancient grain that's been around for 5,000 years, and that's great for the environment. Today I will tell you about the work Yolele Foods is doing with smallholder farmers in the West African region called the Sahel. Hello, now we are getting ready to cook our fonio and mango salad. So fonio's mango salad has lots of mint, mango of course, cucumber, red onions, and cashew nuts for texture. Fonio cooks in 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes. Our Yolele fonio, we just have boiling water for 1 cup of fonio, 2 cups of water, or a little less if you don't want your fonio to be too wet. And then you let it cool. So I'll show you how we do it. My water is boiling here and I'm going to add the cooking pot. So right here my water is boiling and I'm going to add my fonio. You can add some olive oil if you want, it's optional. I'm skipping it because I'll have it in my salad. So I'll just add the fonio and give it a stir, cover it, and in 5 minutes the fonio will be ready. So I'm just going to stir it slowly, lower my heat to very, very low, and keep it covered. And while my fonio is cooking, I'm going to tell you more about fonio and about what Your Lady Foods is doing with smallholder farmers in West Africa. Fonio is a gluten-free, low glycemic, and high in amino acids ancient grain that's grown by small family farmers in West Africa. It has a delicate texture and features in many iconic African dishes. It can be a wonderful grain alternative in any of your favorite recipes. The challenge with fonio is the processing. It has tiny seeds, each covered in an inedible husk, so it's really hard to turn the crop into food. It takes about 1 hour of manual labor to barely process 1 kilo of fonio. But farmers keep on growing fonio generation after generation. Why? Because it's reliable even in the face of drought. West African farmers know that no matter what happens with the weather in any given year, even when other crops fail, the fonio harvest will come in, and it will come in early. Because fonio matures more quickly than other crops, fonio prevents starvation. It's ready to eat when the last year's harvest has been depleted. As a chef, I see an ingredient like fonio and I see opportunity. Opportunity to share my heritage with a global audience, and opportunity to help farmers like my grandparents earn a living from the sustainable small-scale agricultural practices that supports 80% of the sub-Saharan African people. Fonio is mainly considered a women's crop because its principal function on a farm is to provide sustenance for the family. These are some of the hardest working women in the world, but they are severely opportunity deprived. Turning fonio into a commercial crop provides a chance for these women to earn good money, which they can put to good use in their communities. Okay, it's been 5 minutes now and my fonio is ready. I'm going to get a closer look here, and you can see that all the water has evaporated, and I'm just going to fluff the fonio, and you see it's perfectly separating. The grains are perfectly cooked. Okay, well now my fonio is cooled down. I've cooked it already, and I'm going to assemble it with all the ingredients. I have here my cucumber, my tomatoes, mangoes of course chopped up. I have some red onions, I have parsley and mint all chopped up, and a little bit of cashews. So I'll start with adding these raw ingredients, not the greens. The greens I add them last when I'm ready to serve. So I'll add my mangoes first, and my tomatoes, and my cucumber, and my red onions, and a little bit of cashew. And now I'm going to pour my dressing over it. All the dressing is very simple. That's lemon juice, olive oil, a little bit of garlic, salt and pepper. And then I'll just fold it inside. Fold it together. And you taste it as you go, just to see if you have the right enough seasoning. I think I'll add a little more salt to it. There we go. I keep folding it. And right before serving, I'll add lots of herbs that bring some freshness and herbaceousness, and that gives you a perfect summer salad. It's like right here, we are in June, hitting July. It's the perfect time to eat fresh salad, and the great thing about fonio is very versatile. I'm so in love with this African underutilized product that we need to focus on growing and strengthening this supply chain of products like fonio that are so good for the environment and great for us and absolutely needed for the farmers, for our security, food security, definitely in the Sahel region of Africa, West Africa, and for the farmers who deserve to make a decent living with their product.
So I want to thank you all for joining us again today at the Agrobiodiversity Congress as we bring together expert scientists and chefs to discuss important issues around food. My name is Paul Newnham, and I'm the director of the SDG2 Advocacy Hub, a UN Food Champion, and the public engagement lead for the UN Food System Summit and coordinator of the Chef's Manifesto. So around the world, globally, we have over 30,000 species of food that can be consumed, and yet we rely on 4 main crops for 60% of our calories. Increasing the consumption of different types of foods like Future 50 foods like fonio, sorghum, millets could significantly contribute to transforming our broken food system and really help us to adapt to climate change. As we rely on such a small number of crops, we miss out on the opportunities to diversify our diets, which is really imperative to healthy micronutrient intake, and we miss out on adopting crops that have been proven to be really resilient to climate change and eco-friendly. Fonio, sorghum, and millets have long been ignored, and today I'm excited to bring 3 chefs to the table: Chef Pierre Thiam, Chef Ali Mandri, and Chef Anchinka Bhatti, who each champion neglected and forgotten species, as well as Dr. Carlo Fada, who is an expert in this field. So let's get started. So Chef Pierre, let me start with you. Why fonio?
Well, for many reasons, really. Fonio, because it's the oldest cultivated grain in Africa. It's been around 5,000 years. So it talks about its resiliency. Also the fact that fonio grows in an area called the Sahel. I'm from Senegal. Sahel is included in that area. It's south of the Sahara. It's very dry and arid. But fonio grows there, it thrives there because it's drought resistant. Not only is drought resistant, but it has deep roots that regenerates the soil. So the cultivation of fonio is great for the environment. It's one of the fastest maturing grain. It grows in 2 to 3 months, actually. It's like really fast. But as a chef, also another thing that motivated me really was the fact that fonio is delicious. It's probably the most tasting grain I've ever had. It's delicate, but it cooks in 5 minutes. And it's very versatile because it has a neutral flavor. So it's very versatile. It can adjust to so many different types of cuisines. My restaurant is based in New York City. So, I have to cater to a diverse clientele. And I really wanted to have them taste the real thing. So that's my mission, really, to introduce underutilized African crops. Fonio was the perfect Trojan horse, to do it because it's great for the environment. It cooks in 5 minutes. And most importantly, in my mission is really to work with small farming communities that grow fonio. Those farming communities have been growing fonio for thousands of years, but they don't have access to market. So as a Senegalese chef based in the US, I thought I could do it. And this is why I started Yolele, my company. And gradually today we are distributed across the US, and we plan to introduce other underutilized crops like millet and sorghum, for instance.
Right.
Like you said, there are thousands of them out there.
Yeah, thanks, Chef. And I'm glad you added how it tastes, because I know it's delicious. I've had some of your fonio. So Dr. Carlo, can you add to what Pierre's just shared? What makes fonio such an excellent grain agriculturally and nutritionally?
I think Pierre said a lot. I mean, it's a crop that really works for smallholder farmers, as it enhances resilience. It grows in very drought areas, including poor soils. It doesn't require big inputs. And maybe we should put this also in context, because what is happening is that when you promote industrial agriculture, first of all, you marginalize the smallholder farmers that Pierre was talking about, but also you exclude those crops that are called neglected and underutilized species, minor crops, forgotten food, whatever terminology you want to use, and you exclude those farmers from the economy. And yet they have a lot. I mean, West Africa is one of the major centers of crop diversity. People don't know, even crops like watermelon, global commodity, watermelon, palm oil, they come from West Africa. They were domesticated there. They are used there for traditional purposes, of course, fonio, millet, sorghum, you can add. And yet, the role of West Africa as a center of domestication of crops has never been really recognized, and those traditional crops have been marginalized. in favor of a system that only preferred to push for the growth of few crops, being them rice, maize, soybean, wheat, etc. And these crops really offer a solution to, and this system creates 4 interconnected huge crises: climate change, industrial agriculture produces a lot of 30% of the greenhouse gas emission. Nutrition, as we know, there are triple burden of malnutrition. I will go this back at the end. So undernutrition, malnutrition, and overnutrition. Land degradation, because when you apply fertilizer year after year, same crop year after year, you degrade the land and it becomes less productive. And the biodiversity, when you expand your land to grow more maize or more soybean for even for meat production, you destroy the biodiversity in the forest. So growing, and those crops have an answer to all of this. If you can imagine a system where you have more diversity, these neglected species, the thousands of species that Pierre was referring to, not of course in one place, but a system that is more diversified, that value that biodiversity, you can have a lot of advantages. You fight better the pests and diseases. You restore your environment, you improve the soil biodiversity and the carbon matter, making the soil more productive. You bring more biodiversity into your production system because you don't need to spray or to use so much fertilizer, so the pollinators will come in. And then the nutrition. Fonio is an amazing source of a lot of things that are important for our health. Vitamins B, minerals, iron, copper, zinc. It's probably the cereal which has the highest calcium content of all grains. And all of this is fundamental for the well-being of the children, the women, and the people.
Well, it sounds amazing. It's so important that we really focus on these crops. Ali, you obviously love sorghum. I've seen you use it in lots of different ways. I've salivated over some of your creative uses of this grain. What do you think all of us should start using sorghum in our dishes? How do we use it? How do we get into thinking about sorghum in a new way?
So here's the thing. So sorghum, as we speak about sorghum, number one, is a very neglected ingredient because people, like right now, like where I live in Mombasa, or Kenya as a whole, people feel like sorghum is basically food for the poor. So it's like it's readily available, and that's why people really underview it, because we're not used to eat it. Like I remember my late grandfather used to make some lovely bread. We call it mkate wa mufa, but it's basically something that we think like maybe our great grandparents used to use, and we feel like it's not cool. So how do we make it cool, and how do we make people able to use it? It's like make a salad. So here's the thing. I was just saying that sorghum is like the cheaper version of quinoa. People spend a lot of money to buy quinoa right now in the country. It's so expensive in Kenya, yet because it's cool, it's on all the diets, it's on all the healthy eating books. So everyone goes for quinoa. So I'm like, this is a very good option, a cheaper option for quinoa. You can basically just boil it up. Okay, it doesn't cook in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. It takes like an hour in a pressure cooker to basically cook. But the benefits that come out of it, once it's cooked really well, it's delicious. You just want to put it in the pressure cooker and just boil it for like an hour. And after that, toss it up with anything. Like the recipe I did the other day is basically just a little bit some olive oil, a little some garlic, and some black pepper, some salt. Mix it up and add any of your favorite vegetable or maybe a protein that you like into the mix. It's just fantastic. As we speak, sorghum is very rich in phenolic compounds, and it's also known to be anti-cancerous at the end of the day. It's like, it really helps a lot of I would say it has a lot of nutrients in the mix, and it's very rich in vitamin D. So how to make it cool is basically just make a lovely salad. People want to eat healthy these days, but then how do we push it out in the market and make it feel like it's the new quinoa, which is amazing, which is readily available, and at the same time it is affordable. You know, you just need to make it work out there. So just probably throwing out those recipes, show how easy is it to cook it. You might take an hour to cook it, but once you cook it, you can put it in a container, refrigerate it, use it for the entire week, and you're sorted, and you have all the nutrients that you need.
You heard it here from Chef Ali. This is check out his Instagram and check it out and see some of these recipes. But you know, the new quinoa, or the better version in some ways. So Dr. Carlo, can you tell us a little bit about maybe some of the climate benefits? Like, how does this crop also withstand drought? You know, in a warming planet, this is so critical. Can you tell us a little bit about some of those properties of sorghum?
Yeah, sorghum is really much more drought tolerant than, for example, maize, which is, if you want, the competitor of sorghum in production system. And sorghum has a big disadvantage. It is much less favored by policymakers, by investors, and so the incentives goes on maize, and develop drought-tolerant maize, when sorghum is, as Chef Ali was saying, is much more nutritious. I mean, in addition to what he mentioned, the minerals, I mean, it's a food that is packed with nutrients, and certainly more than maize. Also, sorghum has a huge genetic diversity. Sorghum is a beautiful crop. So when you go in, you have sorghum of different colors that can be black, brown, purple, white, and probably all of these also has different nutrient profile. And all of these are also adapted to different soil conditions and different. So it's not only talking about one crop, it's also talking about the genetic diversity. And sorghum has a huge genetic diversity that make it really versatile for different climatic conditions and soil conditions, and probably also in terms of taste. Now, so depending on what you want to do, maybe if you want to make the bread of the grand-grandparents of Chef Ali, you need to do the brown type of sorghum. But if you want to make the salad, you prefer the more white type of sorghum. And sorghum is also good to make beer. No, so maybe for the beer you need the purple one. Although the breweries prefer the white, but the purple one maybe gives us that special flavor that people want to taste, not something different. So it's not only one crop; it's a crop. It's a lot of crops within that crop.
Wow, no, it's amazing. Thank you, Dr. Carlo. Chef Vanchinka, I've tasted some of your fabulous millet dishes. What's so special about millet?
I think it obviously is extremely healthy and very, very delicious. And there are so many different varieties that are now they used to be very easily available, and then people kind of forgot about them and the benefits. But now, again, I think for the past 2 years, it's been really easily available for restaurants, for people at home. And so I used ragi, which is finger millet, for the recipe that I gave. And what I really enjoy about this is that it can be used as a flour or as a whole grain. So I like to kind of add a little bit, like if it's not 100% millet, but you can still add like 10%, 15% millet in the dish itself, and you can kind of make it a little bit less wheat, or a little bit less potato, or a little bit less quinoa, as I mentioned, and make it more healthy. It's really amazing in the calcium content and the protein content that's there. It's also very helpful with migraines. So not a lot of foods kind of help in migraines because it's something which still doesn't have a cure, and I myself have a lot of family members who suffer from that, and also helps in depression and basically other mental health because it has some sort of nutrients which help with the brain. So that's something which I find really helpful and exciting about millets. Also, am I audible. I think the video kind of looks poor internet connection. Am I audible?
Yeah, it was breaking slightly, but keep going.
Yeah?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Okay, so one more thing. I just wanted to say that millets kind of energy is distributed slowly in the body. It doesn't give you instant energy like wheat or potato or any other sugar. It kind of goes, the energy that you get from millet is distributed slowly throughout a long period of time. So you can eat a little bit, you don't need a lot, and it'll still give you energy for longer.
So, I mean, thanks, Vanshinka. Dr. Carlo, like in places like India, for example, there's a lot of consumers have moved away from millets to eat things like more rice. Why are millets so good for people and planet, and why should we bring back millets? What's the benefit for getting these back into diets?
Well, I mean, it's similar to the other crops. Millets like sorghum and fonio, it's really packed with nutrients and nutritional value. What is really great about India in a way is that millet was it is a neglected crop, probably still, but it gets greater attention in India. So, for example, even through the work of the Swaminathan Foundation, millet is one of the now food security crops. So it's for example recommended for public school meals or public procurement of food. So it's getting a little bit more attention than it used to have. And again, it's very resilient to climate change and can grow in different conditions. You have many types of millet, so it's not again one crop. You have pearl millet, finger millet, proso millet, foxtail millet. So you have different types of millet that can grow in different conditions. And it's very tasty and very good. It's gluten-free, so people who have problems with celiac, it's hypoglycemic. So a lot of the issues that are from the burden of the triple burden of malnutrition and some of the public health concerns of eating diets which are only based on few crops can be addressed by adding millet to the diets.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. I mean, I hope those that are watching are able to engage with these exciting recipes and really try some of these forgotten ingredients that just have so much benefit for both people and planet. So thank you, Chef Vanshinka, Chef Ali, Chef Pierre, Dr. Carlo. I really appreciate your time and looking forward to trying some cooking at home.
Can I make just a final also thank you to the three chefs, because I think the role of the chef is really important, because they somehow in the current time, chefs are influencers and they are public people and they have a lot of weight in influencing people's opinion. As Chef Ali was saying, sorghum is the food of the poor. People don't want to eat sorghum in a country like Kenya, which is middle income. But if people who have visibility and are respected start promoting these crops, I think that is really a very strong accelerator of the adoption of these neglected species. So thank Pierre, thanks Chef Ali, thanks Vanshinka Bhatia for your incredible job in promoting neglected species. And Chef Ali, I am in Nairobi. When I come to Mombasa, I like to try and see your sorghum salad, which really sounds delicious.
Welcome home.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.